The mining vessel Hyperion drifted silently through the Kuiper Belt, its sensors sweeping the darkness for precious metals. Jessica Morton, the ship's geological scanner operator, stifled a yawn as she watched the familiar patterns of ice and rock scroll across her screen. After 6 months of routine surveys, everything looked the same, until it didn't. "Captain Walker," she called out, her voice sharp with sudden alertness. "I'm picking up something different. These readings don't make sense." Captain Sarah Walker moved across the bridge, her experienced eyes narrowing at the scanner display. The reading showed a perfect geometric structure, a hexagon nearly 4 kilometers across, comprised of materials that shouldn't exist in nature. "Full stop," Walker ordered, her heart racing despite years of deep space experience. "Get me a visual." The Hyperion's external lights pierced the darkness, illuminating something that would change humanity's destiny forever. A massive space station hung motionless against the star-studded backdrop, its dark surface absorbing light in impossible ways. Ancient yet pristine, it showed no signs of the millions of years it must have spent waiting in the cold embrace of space. Within hours, the discovery sparked a firestorm of activity across Earth's scientific community. Dr. Sarah Chen, Earth's leading archaeologist, arrived aboard the research vessel Hawking just 3 days later. Her team's initial scans revealed technology so advanced it might as well have been magic. The station's outer hull, she explained to the assembled military and scientific leadership via quantum link, is made of materials we can't even identify. But that's not the most interesting part. She paused, her holographic image flickering slightly. "It's active. And I think it's been waiting for us." Admiral James Chen, no relation to the doctor, leaned forward in his chair at Earth Command. "Waiting? Explain." "The station's systems activated the moment we came within a certain range," Dr. Chen continued. "It's been showing us things. Schematics, warnings. We're still decoding most of it. But one message is clear: we're not alone, and we're not safe." The station, they would learn, was a sentinel post left by an ancient civilization called the Predecessors. Through its databases, humanity discovered they weren't the first species to evolve in this sector of space. They weren't even the 100th. The station contained records of thousands of civilizations that had risen and fallen over millions of years. But more importantly, it contained weapons, defenses, technology that could protect a young species from threats they weren't ready to face alone. And according to the station's warning systems, humanity would need these gifts soon. Dr. Chen's team worked tirelessly to understand the station's secrets. They discovered that its technology operated on principles that seemed to defy physics as humanity understood it. The predecessors had mastered energy manipulation at the quantum level, creating shields that could absorb any attack and weapons that could disable enemy systems without destruction. They weren't conquerors, Dr. Chen explained during one crucial briefing. They were guardians. This station is part of a network they built to protect young civilizations until they were ready to join the galactic community. But something happened to them, something that made them disappear. The station's data banks spoke of a threat called the Harvesters, a collective of species that had rejected the predecessors' philosophy of protection and nurturing. Instead, they believed in consuming, taking, and growing stronger through conquest. The predecessors had fought them to a standstill, but the cost had been devastating. Earth's governments united with unprecedented speed and cooperation. The ESS Sentinel project was launched, combining human ingenuity with the station's technological insights. They didn't try to simply copy the ancient technology. Humanity took it further, adapting and improving it in ways its creators might never have imagined. As construction began on humanity's first true warship, Dr. Chen made another discovery that sent shockwaves through the scientific community. The predecessors didn't choose Earth's solar system randomly for this station, she announced one day, her hands trembling as she held up a data crystal. They seeded worlds with potential. And humanity, we're not just their successors, we're their legacy, their final project. The implications were staggering. Humanity's rapid technological development, their adaptability, their drive to explore and protect, all of it might have been subtly guided by the predecessor's genetic engineering. Not to create servants or soldiers, but to nurture a species that could one day take up their mantle as guardians of young civilizations. Admiral Chen stood at the observation window of the newly constructed lunar shipyards, watching as the ESS Sentinel took shape. Unlike the sleek, silver ships of science fiction, the Sentinel was dark and angular, its hull incorporating materials and principles that human minds were only beginning to understand. "How long?" he asked Dr. Chen, who stood beside him. She checked her tablet, its surface glowing with calculations and predictions. "The Harvester Collective's energy signatures are already visible at the edge of our long-range sensors. Best estimate, 6 months before they reach our solar system." The Admiral nodded, his expression grim but determined. "Will we be ready?" Dr. Chen looked up at the Sentinel. "Humanity's first line of defense. We have to be. The predecessors gave us everything they could. Knowledge, technology, even guided our evolution. But what we do with those gifts, that's up to us." The Sentinel's quantum core pulsed with power, its systems coming online for the first time. Humanity had taken its first steps into a larger universe, and the galaxy would never be the same. The ancient station had awakened not just a sleeping giant, but a guardian. And soon, the Harvester Collective would learn exactly what that meant. Captain Marcus Rodriguez stood on the bridge of the ESS Sentinel, watching the holographic display as another distress signal faded into silence. It was the third one this month. Colony ships from different species, all disappearing along the same vector of space. Their final transmissions all spoke of dark ships appearing from nowhere, moving in ways that seemed to defy physics. "Replay the last transmission," he ordered, his dark eyes fixed on the tactical display. Lieutenant Emma Patel nodded, her fingers dancing across the quantum interface that the predecessor's technology had made possible. The hologram flickered, showing a terrified alien face. Its crystalline features reflected panic as it spoke. "They're everywhere. Our engines aren't responding. The sensors show nothing but, wait, something's happening to the hull." Static consumed the rest. "Analysis?" Rodriguez asked, turning to his science officer. Dr. James Chen, the Admiral's son and protege of his namesake, Dr. Sarah Chen, studied the readings. "The energy signature matches what the station's archives warned us about. The Harvester Collective is testing our sector's defenses, Captain. They're picking off isolated ships, studying responses." The Sentinel had been patrolling the outer reaches of human space for 3 months now, its advanced sensors reaching farther than anything humanity had previously achieved. The ship itself was a marvel, a perfect fusion of human innovation and predecessor technology. Where the ancient station's systems had been purely defensive, humanity had found ways to adapt them, creating something new. "They're getting closer," Rodriguez mused, bringing up a star chart. Red dots marked each disappearance, forming a clear pattern. "They're not just random attacks. This is reconnaissance." The bridge crew worked in focused silence, each monitoring their stations. The Sentinel's quantum core hummed beneath their feet, a sound that had become comforting over the months of patrol. They were the first line of defense, not just for Earth, but for every species that couldn't protect itself. A sudden alert pierced the quiet. "Captain." Lieutenant Patel's voice was sharp with urgency. "New signal detected, bearing 047 Mark 223. It's one of ours." Rodriguez's head snapped up. "Show me." The hologram shifted to show the mining vessel Artemis, one of the deep space operations that had continued despite the growing tension. Its distress beacon pulsed steadily, but something was wrong with the signal. "It's not just a distress call," Dr. Chen said, his fingers moving rapidly over his console. "They're transmitting sensor data. By the stars. Captain, you need to see this." The hologram expanded, showing massive ships emerging from what appeared to be tiers in space itself. They were organic and mechanical at the same time, their hulls shifting and changing like living metal. The Harvester Collective had arrived. "Battle stations," Rodriguez ordered, his voice calm despite the gravity of the moment. "Alert Earth Command. Lieutenant Patel, plot and intercept course. Dr. Chen, begin active scans. I want to know everything about those ships." The Sentinel's crew moved with practiced efficiency, months of training kicking in. This wasn't a drill anymore. This was what they had been preparing for. "Sir," Chen called out, his voice tense. "The Artemis. Their last transmission shows the Harvesters are using some kind of energy drain. They're not just destroying ships, they're consuming them, breaking them down at the molecular level and absorbing the materials." Rodriguez nodded grimly, just like the archives warned. "They don't just conquer, they harvest, grow stronger with each victory." He straightened in his command chair. "Not this time. Lieutenant Patel, engage quantum drive. Let's show them they're not the only ones who can do impossible things." The Sentinel's quantum core pulsed, and space itself seemed to fold around the ship. They weren't just moving through space, they were moving with it, using principles that humanity had evolved beyond even what the predecessors had envisioned. As they approached the Artemis location, Rodriguez studied the tactical display. 3 Harvester ships, each larger than anything humanity had built before the Sentinel. Their organic mechanical hulls rippled with energy as they began breaking down the mining vessel. "Multiple energy signatures," Chen reported. "They're preparing weapon systems we've never seen before. The archive data doesn't cover these configurations." Rodriguez smiled slightly. "Good. That means they don't know what we can do either." Combat teams to stations. Prepare the quantum field generators. Let's introduce ourselves. The Sentinel dropped out of quantum space directly between the Harvesters and their prey. Its dark hull absorbed light in impossible ways, a shadow given form by human determination and predecessor technology. "They're scanning us," Chen reported. "Their energy readings are spiking. They recognize the predecessor tech, Captain. They're powering up everything they have." "Good," Rodriguez said, standing from his command chair. "Send the message we prepared. Let them know exactly what they're dealing with." The transmission went out in all known frequencies. "This is Captain Marcus Rodriguez of the Earth Ship Sentinel. You are engaging in hostile actions against peaceful vessels in protected space. Withdraw immediately, or we will demonstrate exactly why the predecessors chose humanity as their successors." The Harvester ships responded by launching their attack, energy weapons unlike anything in the archives lighting up space. But humanity had learned from the predecessors, and then gone further. The Sentinel's quantum shields didn't just absorb the attack, they redirected it, turning the Harvester's own power against them. "Show them what we can do," Rodriguez ordered. "All weapons, controlled response. Let's give them something to think about." The battle that followed would be remembered as humanity's first true test in interstellar warfare. And the galaxy was about to learn that the predecessors had chosen their successors very, very well. The void between worlds erupted in silent fury as the ESS Sentinel engaged the Harvester vessels. The enemy ships moved like living things, their organic mechanical hulls rippling as they launched attacks that would have annihilated any normal vessel. But the Sentinel was far from normal. Quantum shields holding at 98%, Lieutenant Patel reported, her voice steady despite the spectacular light show outside. The Harvester weapons, beams of coherent energy that seemed to distort space itself, splashed harmlessly against the Sentinel's defenses. Rodriguez watched the tactical display with calculated intensity. "Dr. Chen, analysis of their attack pattern." "They're probing our defenses, sir," Chen responded, studying the incoming data. "Each attack is slightly different. They're learning, adapting. The organic components of their ships allow them to evolve their strategies in real time." The Harvesters had never encountered anything like the Sentinel before. Their usual tactics of overwhelming force and energy drainage weren't working. The quantum shields didn't just block their attacks, They absorbed and redistributed the energy, making the Sentinels stronger with each assault. "They're transmitting," Patil announced. "Multiple frequencies." The bridge speakers crackled with a voice that seemed to be dozens speaking in unison. "Unknown vessel, you possess technology of the excluders. Surrender and be absorbed into the collective. Your biological and technological distinctiveness will be preserved within us." Rodriguez's expression hardened. "Excluders? Is that what they called the predecessors?" "Makes sense," Chen mused, still analyzing data. "The predecessors tried to exclude them from consuming younger races. Captain, their ships are repositioning. Energy readings are off the scale." The three harvester vessels moved in perfect synchronization, their hulls morphing to create what appeared to be a single massive weapon. Space itself seemed to distort around them as they channeled power into their combined attack. "Now we see what they're really capable of," Rodriguez said calmly. "All hands, braced for impact. Dr. Chen, initiate Protocol Omega. Let's show them what humanity has learned." The harvester's combined beam lashed out, a lance of pure destruction that should have torn through any defense. But as it struck the Sentinel's quantum shields, something unprecedented happened. The energy didn't just disperse, it was caught, contained, and redirected through systems that humanity had developed by studying and improving upon the predecessors' work. Quantum core at 120% capacity, Chen reported, excitement breaking through his professional demeanor. "The containment fields are holding. We can do this, Captain." Rodriguez nodded. "Target their central mass. Full spectrum response. Show them why the predecessors chose us." The Sentinel's response was unlike anything the galaxy had seen before. The absorbed energy was channeled through human-designed quantum matrices, emerging as a perfectly controlled burst that struck the harvester ships with surgical precision. Their combined weapon configuration, which had made them more powerful, now made them vulnerable. The effect was immediate and dramatic. The organic mechanical hulls of the harvester vessels began to separate, their seamless integration disrupted by the precisely targeted quantum pulse. They hadn't just been hit, they'd been unraveled at a fundamental level. "Their systems are cascading," Chen reported. "The organic components are disconnecting from the mechanical structure. They're falling apart, Captain." The harvester ships drifted apart, their once perfect synchronization shattered. Emergency signals blared across all frequencies as their crews struggled to maintain control of their failing vessels. "Send the message," Rodriguez ordered. Lieutenant Patil transmitted their prepared response. "This is the ESS Sentinel. Your attack has failed. We could destroy you, but that's not our way. Retreat now. Return to your collective and deliver this warning. Earth and its allies are under protection. Any further aggression will be met with the same response." The bridge crew watched as the harvester ships, their once fearsome forms now barely holding together, limped away into the darkness of space. They didn't use their space-folding technology. They couldn't, not in their current state. "Secure from battle stations," Rodriguez ordered. "Dr. Chen, begin full analysis of all sensor data. Lieutenant Patel, check on the Artemis." The mining vessel's crew was shaken but alive. As the Sentinel's medical teams helped treat their minor injuries, Rodriguez received a priority communication from Earth Command. Admiral Chen's hologram appeared on the bridge. "Well done, Captain," the Admiral said, his usually stern expression showing a hint of pride. "But this is just the beginning. We're receiving signals from across the sector. Other races who witnessed the battle through their own long-range sensors. They want to talk." Rodriguez understood the implications immediately. "The balance of power is shifting." "Exactly," the Admiral confirmed. "For centuries, the Harvester Collective has terrorized younger civilizations. Now they know there's another way. A prototype defense network based on the Sentinel's technology is already under construction. We'll need more ships, more crews trained in the new systems, and more allies," Rodriguez added, looking at the tactical display where dozens of new signals were appearing. "Ships from other races, approaching cautiously, but with clear purpose. The predecessors chose humanity for a reason, Admiral Chen said. They saw in us the potential not just to survive, but to protect, to lead. The galaxy is changing, Captain. Make sure we're ready for what comes next. As the Admiral's hologram faded, Rodriguez looked at his crew, humans who had mastered technology that should have been centuries beyond their understanding, who had faced an enemy that had terrorized the galaxy for generations and emerged victorious. The Sentinel had done more than win a battle. It had given hope to countless civilizations that had lived in fear of the collective. But with that hope came responsibility, and humanity was about to learn exactly what it meant to be the predecessors' chosen guardians. Plot a course to the nearest diplomatic contact point, Rodriguez ordered. It's time to start building alliances. The harvesters will be back, and next time, they'll bring an army. The diplomatic chamber aboard the ESS Sentinel hummed with nervous energy as representatives from 12 different species gathered for the first time. Captain Rodriguez watched from his position at the head of the quantum crystalline table, a masterpiece of human engineering based on predecessor designs that allowed perfect holographic communication across light years. Dr. Sarah Chen stood beside him, her presence requested specifically by several of the delegates. She had become something of a legend among the younger races, the human who had first decoded the predecessor's message and helped humanity transform their gifts into something new. "We've all seen what the harvesters can do," spoke Cuttle, a being of living crystal whose people had lost 3 colony worlds to the collective. "But we've also seen what Earth can do. The question is, what comes next?" Rodriguez activated the table's holographic display, showing the defensive network Earth had begun constructing. The predecessors didn't just give us technology. They gave us a mission. Protection. Not conquest, not domination, but guardianship. The aliens murmured among themselves as the display showed the Sentinels' battle with the harvester ships. Dr. Chen stepped forward, her voice carrying the weight of scientific authority. "Each of your species has something unique to offer," she said. "The predecessors didn't choose humanity because we were superior, but because we could adapt, innovate, and most importantly, cooperate. We've already begun integrating your people's insights into our defensive systems." A serpentine delegate named Shith raised its head. "The harvesters will return with greater numbers. They cannot allow this challenge to their power to stand." "Let them come," Rodriguez said firmly. "Every day we grow stronger, not just Earth, but all of us, together." The meeting continued for hours as plans were drawn and alliances formed. But it was interrupted by an urgent signal from the Sentinel's sensors. Lieutenant Patel's voice came through the comm system. "Captain, we're detecting massive energy signatures at the edge of the system. Multiple harvester vessels, but something's different about them." Rodriguez excused himself and rushed to the bridge, Dr. Chen close behind. The tactical display showed what had caught Patel's attention. The harvester ships were changed, their organic mechanical forms twisted into new configurations that pulsed with stolen energy. "They've adapted," Chen observed, studying the readings. "They're using principles similar to our quantum shield technology, but corrupted, twisted to serve their purpose of consumption rather than protection." "How many ships?" Rodriguez asked. 27, Patel responded. "All larger than the ones we faced before. They're not trying to hide anymore, sir. This is a full invasion force." Rodriguez touched his comm unit. "Admiral Chen, are you seeing this?" "We are," the Admiral's voice came through. "The defense network isn't fully operational yet. We need time." Back in the diplomatic chamber, the alien representatives had seen the same data. But instead of panic, there was resolve. Cuttle stepped forward, his crystalline form catching the light. "My people have hidden for generations," he said. "No more. We have ships. They're not as advanced as the Sentinel, but with your quantum shields." One by one, the other representatives made similar offers: ships, resources, technology. each contributing what they could to the defense of not just Earth, but all free worlds. The predecessors' archives spoke of this. Dr. Chen said quietly to Rodriguez, "They believe that true strength comes not from superior technology, but from unity, from different species choosing to stand together." Rodriguez nodded, watching as the tactical display updated with the positions of Allied ships moving to join Earth's defense. "Send word to all commands," he ordered. "Begin integrating Allied vessels into our defense strategy." "Dr. Chen, how quickly can we adapt our quantum shield technology to protect their ships?" "With their help? Faster than the harvesters can adapt to counter it," she replied with confidence. "Their diversity is their strength. Each species approaches problems differently, sees solutions we might miss." The next few days were a blur of activity as Earth's shipyards worked around the clock, upgrading Allied vessels with quantum shields while the aliens' own scientists contributed insights that helped improve the technology further. The Sentinel became the flagship of an unprecedented coalition fleet, its crew supplemented by alien specialists whose unique perspectives strengthened their capabilities. But as they prepared for the coming battle, Dr. Chen made a discovery in the predecessor archives that changed everything. "Captain," she called out one evening, her voice trembling with excitement, "I know why they chose us, why they waited so long to reveal themselves." The holographic display activated, showing a strand of human DNA alongside streams of ancient data. The predecessors didn't just guide our evolution. They were preparing us for something specific, something they saw coming but couldn't prevent themselves. "The harvesters?" Rodriguez asked. "No," Chen replied. "Something worse. The harvesters are just the beginning. The predecessors knew that the galaxy would need guardians who could adapt, who could take their technology and transform it into something new. They didn't want servants to maintain their legacy. They wanted successors who could surpass them." As if to punctuate her words, the tactical alert sounded. The Harvester fleet had begun its advance, their twisted ships cutting through space like living weapons. But this time, they weren't facing a single Earth ship. They were facing a united galaxy, led by the species the predecessors had chosen not just to survive, but to protect. The true test of humanity's role as guardians was about to begin. The combined fleet hung in space like a constellation of defiance. Earth ships with their dark, angular hulls flew alongside crystalline vessels from Kittl's people and the organic ships of the Sith. The ESS Sentinel led them all, its quantum core pulsing with power enhanced by the contributions of a dozen alien races. "Harvester fleet entering weapons range," Lieutenant Potil announced, her voice steady despite the tension on the bridge. 27 capital ships, multiple support vessels. Their energy signatures are massive. Captain Rodriguez stood at the command center, surrounded by both human and alien officers. The Sentinel's bridge had been modified to accommodate their allies, each bringing unique insights to the battle ahead. "They've consumed the energy from a dozen worlds to power this attack," Kittle said, his crystalline form reflecting the tactical displays. "Our long-range scans show they've twisted the quantum principles of your shields into weapons." Dr. Sarah Chen's voice came through the comm system from the science lab below. "Captain, final analysis confirms it. They're not just here to conquer. They're here to consume everything. The worlds, the technology, even the knowledge itself. They want to absorb what makes us strong." Rodriguez nodded grimly. "They don't understand. Our strength isn't in the technology. Send the signal to all ships. Execute Formation Phoenix." The Allied fleet moved with practiced precision, forming layers of defense that the predecessors had never envisioned. Earth ships with their quantum shields formed the outer layer, while Kittl's crystalline vessels positioned themselves to amplify and redirect energy. The Sith's organic ships wove between them, their natural ability to predict attack patterns making them perfect interceptors. The Harvester fleet struck like a tide of living metal, their twisted ships launching attacks that bent space itself. But where before they had faced single vessels or unprepared worlds, now they faced something unprecedented. Unity. First wave impact in 3, 2, 1. Patel counted down. The Harvester's energy weapons struck the Allied shields, expecting to drain and consume their power. Instead, the quantum shields caught the energy, the crystalline ships redirected it, and the Sith vessels predicted where it would be most effective to send it back. It's working. Chen's excited voice came through. The combined shield network is holding. Their attacks are making us stronger, just like the predecessors predicted. But the Harvesters hadn't survived this long by being predictable. Their ships began to change, organic mechanical forms twisting into new configurations. They're adapting, Catal warned. Preparing their consumption beams. Rodriguez touched the tactical display, highlighting key points in the enemy formation. All ships, execute Protocol Omega. Show them what true adaptation looks like. The Allied fleet moved as one, implementing strategies that combined human ingenuity, Catal crystalline precision, and Sith intuition. The Sentinel led the charge, its quantum core channeling power in ways that even the predecessors hadn't imagined. Multiple Harvester ships showing critical instability, Patel reported. Their organic components can't handle the feedback loop we've created. The battle reached its crescendo as the Harvesters launched their final desperate attack. They combined their remaining ships into a single massive entity, a writhing mass of organic metal that blotted out the stars. All ships, hold formation. Rodriguez ordered. Dr. Chen now. Deep within the Sentinel, Chen activated the device they'd created, a quantum resonator that combined principles from all their allied species. It didn't just attack the Harvesters, it unraveled the very principle behind their consumption technology. The effect was devastating. The combined Harvester form began to break apart, its twisted attempt to corrupt quantum principles collapsing in on itself. Ships that had terrorized the galaxy for centuries were reduced to drifting hulks. As the dust settled, Rodriguez opened a channel to the few remaining Harvester vessels. Your attack has failed. Your attempt to corrupt the predecessor's legacy has failed. Leave this space and never return. The free worlds are under protection, not just Earth's, but all of ours. The surviving Harvester ships fled, their once mighty fleet reduced to scattered remnants. But even as the Allied crews celebrated, Dr. Chen made one final discovery in the predecessor archives. Captain, she called out, her voice filled with awe. The archives just unlocked a new section. The Harvesters weren't the real threat the predecessors were preparing us for. They were a test, to see if we could unite the younger races, if we could take their technology and make it into something new. Rodriguez looked out at the combined fleet, at the ships of a dozen species working together in ways the predecessors had only dreamed of. And, did we pass? Yes, Chen replied. The archives are showing us something new now. Star maps, coordinates. There are more stations out there, Captain. More technologies, more young races needing protection. The predecessors didn't just want us to defend. They'd wanted us to teach, to guide, to help others rise. Admiral Chen's hologram appeared on the bridge. The defense network is already being expanded. Other races are asking to join the alliance. The galaxy is changing, Captain. Rodriguez smiled, watching as repair ships from all their allied species moved to help each other. No, Admiral, we're changing it. Together. The Sentinel's quantum core pulsed with power, ready to carry them to their next mission. The predecessors had chosen humanity not because they were perfect, but because they could learn, adapt, and most importantly, unite others. The age of isolation was over. The age of guardianship had begun. And somewhere in the vast darkness of space, more stations waited, their ancient systems ready to recognize the inheritors of the predecessor's legacy. Not a single race, but an alliance of free worlds, led by those who had been chosen not to conquer, but to protect. The galaxy would never be the same. And that was exactly what the predecessors had hoped for.